In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
That Botan CBD is the highest quality CBD oil on the market. They are a pharmaceutical-grade organic CBD, small batch, and handcrafted for you. Head on over to botancbd.com and use the code Jimmy at checkout for 15% off your first order. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And if you want to engage in the content, here's how it works. We start off over on Instagram. So go follow me there at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live, just like all these people coming in right now. Thank you guys for being here. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. So go check it out on replay. I know we have hundreds of people that watch this on replay, so thank you guys if you're watching on the replay. After 24 hours, it does disappear, so we put all the past episodes up on YouTube in archived form. Just type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants, and you will find the show. And for some reason, my car is going off. That was so weird. I don't know what happened there. It'll make for a funny moment on this video on YouTube. So go type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which has the best of the best moments of this here show, like hearing Jimmy's car horn honk. That was funny. On Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. JimmyRants.com is the website. Today's Jimmy Rants episode is all about this article here. You guys know I've been on the article kick lately, where I've been finding these articles, and it seems like they've come out of the woodwork lately with the negativity about keto. And I'm okay with people being critical of keto. What I'm not okay with is where there is no light on. David says, turn off my light. There is no light on. That was where the door, where I was honking the horn. So, they're critical of keto, and I'm okay with people being critical of keto. What I'm not okay with is when they try to spread misinformation all about it. David, I know it was on, buddy. It's called the car horn went off, and it's called I had to open my door in order to get the car horn to stop. So I'm very well aware it was on. Thank you, though. All right, so dangers of the trending keto diet. It's the name of this article. And it's written by this staff writer for the Tullahoma News called Faith Few. And in the article, she quotes from this lady, Angela Sowers, from the Tennova Director of Nutritional Services. So Tennova is apparently some healthcare group that helps patients with diabetes care and other health things. And she has some doozy of comments all about keto. So let's see what she has to say, and I will give live commentary about it. The ketogenic diet, keto for short, is among the latest diet fads. No, it's not. Ketogenic, was coined in 1921. 1921, 98 years ago. So either it is the longest running fad in all of human history, or this writer is whacked. I wonder which one it could be. All right, I'll keep going. It's caught on in popularity lately. It promises rapid weight loss without the workout. No, it doesn't. I don't know anybody that is promoting keto as a way to have rapid weight loss, number one, nobody's talking about rapid weight loss. Can you lose weight eating keto? Sure you can, but nobody's promoting it as a fast way to lose weight. It's just not. And then without the workout, who is telling people not to work out? If you want to enhance the benefits of a ketogenic diet, one of the best things you can do is add in some high-intensity interval training with it to complement what it is doing for your body. So I'm not even out of the first paragraph, and they've already got it whacked. But here's where it gets fun, you guys. In the grand scheme of things, the keto diet does deliver results. According to Tennova Director of Nutritional Services, Angela Sowers, what people are doing to their bodies when they participate in the keto diet is, get this, you guys, damaging and could become detrimental to their overall health. What utter hogwash. Keto diet is damaging? Somebody please, pray tell me. How in the world eating real food is damaging? Please, somebody tell me. Anybody. The point is, it is not. And yet, there it is. The keto diet is damaging. Could become very detrimental to your overall health. I guess they're going to tell us in the rest of the article. Let's keep reading. The basis of the keto diet is to cut carbs completely out or to an extremely low level. Okay, what's wrong with that? Increase the amount of fat and protein consumed. Okay, yeah, you do increase the amount of fat. You may not increase your protein like they're saying, but okay. And cutting out dairy food group completely. What? Can you cut out dairy and eat keto still? Sure. But there's no requirement on a ketogenic diet that you cut out dairy. What in the world are they talking about? The result of doing all these things is rapid and significant weight loss without spending hours in the gym. Again, what is this doing keto helps you lose weight very fast, number one, which nobody's advocating for that. And then what is this whole idea of not having to go to the gym? I don't get that. We'll carry on. Sowers says, the keto diet was created in the 1930s for patients that suffered from epilepsy and seizures. Wrong. Wrong. It was not created in the 1930s for patients suffering from epilepsy and seizures. They were using it before they coined the term keto, before they coined the term ketogenic. That was 1921, by the way. They were using it with patients that had epilepsy. What they actually were doing at the time prior to 1921 was they were putting them through periods of long fasting. So these poor kids were having to be starved in order to control their seizures. And it did it well. They just didn't know the mechanism by which it worked. But then in 1921, researchers discovered, oh, it's a ketone body that's in the body that's helping to control the seizures. So can we mimic the effects of the fasting, which they have been doing for a very long time prior to 1921, through nutrition? And that's where they came up with the ketogenic diet in the 1920s, not 1930s. So she's already off to the wrong foot, not even knowing the history of all this. This diet, keto, cuts carbs. The brain uses carbs to function. The brain uses carbs to function. Said another way, the brain can use carbs to function, but the brain is not required to use carbs to function. The diet worked for patients with epilepsy and seizures because it eliminated the main power source of the brain, but this diet is not meant for weight loss. Okay. Guys, the main power source for the brain is not dietary carbohydrate. The main power source for the brain, which is what it is made up of mostly. Lean in here, because I want you to get this one, because this is a common refrain that is said about the keto diet, that you can't eat keto because it's too low in carbs because your brain will suffer if you don't eat any carbohydrates. The brain is made up of fat. About 60 to 70% of your noggin is fat, which means you need to be consuming fat in your diet in order to fuel your brain. So for her to make this whole idea, this whole comment of the brain uses carbs to function, no, it does not. It uses fat and ketones primarily as the fuel. And then there are some glucose-dependent functions in the body. Glucose does not mean you have to eat carbs. Glucose can be formed from the fat and the protein that you consume. So right now, I'm eating a keto carnivore diet. I've had 0 carbs in my diet. 0 since the beginning of the year. And the reason my brain stays so sharp is I have plenty of healthy fats that are helping to fuel that 60 to 70% fat in my brain. And I have plenty of gluconeogenesis happening from the fat and the protein that I'm consuming in my diet. And glucose does not require you to eat carbohydrates to be created. Glucose can be created just fine from fat and protein. And see, Miss Sowers should know this. This is a basic 101 biochemistry answer, and yet she doesn't even understand that the brain does not need carbs to function. It needs glucose and fat, primarily fat, which then has a byproduct of ketones, which makes your brain feel good. This is why when you go keto, you have an even-keeled mood. This is why when you go keto, your brain seems to work a lot sharper than it did before. And yet, so many people make this claim you got to eat 120 to 130 grams of carbohydrate in order to fuel your brain properly. And what they're referring to is the amount of glucose that your brain would need to have all those glucose-dependent functions. But what they're not telling people is you get all the glucose in the world that you would ever need from the protein and the fat that you consume. So she's already way off base here. The diet worked for patients with epilepsy and seizures because it eliminated the main source of power for the brain. What I would want to know, okay, it controlled the seizures, but what happened to their mood? I want to say that those kids probably saw a lot better mood. It controlled the seizures, but what happened to their energy levels? Were they able to be completely energetic without eating the carbs? I bet they were. And then the diet isn't meant for weight loss. Well, nobody's putting the focus on weight loss with keto, except for you, Angela Sowers. If you're just joining us, we are going over yet another one of these articles, The Dangers of the Trending Keto Diet. And we're quoting from this Tennova Healthcare Director of Nutritional Services, Angela Sowers. She's quoted quite heavily in this article. And she's getting it all wrong about keto. Yeah, what else is new, right? And her primary point is that keto's killing your brain. And I'm making the point that she doesn't know what she's talking about. She continues, carbohydrates are a source of energy that the brain uses to function on a daily basis. No, they're not. Carbohydrates are not the source of energy that the brain uses to function on a daily basis. Fat and ketones are the primary fuel. Now, if you choose to eat carbohydrates, your body is going to take them in and use them as a sugar burner to fuel your brain because that's all you're giving it. But if you don't give it a lot of carbs and you allow your brain to be run efficiently, by the way, because the brain thrives on ketones, if you give it mostly fat and moderate amount of protein and limited, even 0 carbohydrate, your brain will get all the fuel that it ever needs. So she needs to stop it with that. Cutting carbs extremely low or completely out could have serious neurological effects. Show me your evidence for that, Angela Sowers. What is your evidence that you'll have serious neurological effects? Like I said, I've had 0 carbs since the beginning of the year. Why am I so lucid? Why am I so sharp? How in the world am I doing this Jimmy Rants episode in the absence of carbohydrate in my diet? I can tell you why. Because my blood ketones are higher. They're fueling my brain very efficiently. And trust me, you don't know what good brain health feels like until you flood your body with ketones. You just don't. So for her to make this blanket statement of cutting carbs extremely low or completely out could have serious neurological effects, it's simply not true. Depleting the brain's energy source, again, she's referring to carbs, which turn to sugar, glucose in the body. She says all of that will result in gastrointestinal upset. So not eating carbs leads to gastrointestinal upset? I've never heard that one before. I've seen just the opposite. Eating lots of crappy garbage will lead to a lot of gastrointestinal upset because it's very horrible for your gut health. Dizziness. Why are you dizzy? Why would you be dizzy cutting out carbs? As long as you're getting ample calories and you're getting ample salt and ample water, you will not get dizzy. Fatigue. I'm sorry, what? Fatigue? Guys, you see me on Jimmy Rants every single day. Do I ever look like I am fatigued or lacking in energy? Even when I had a cold the last week, I was still very energetic. It's silly. Confusion? Pot, kettle, black. Confusion. Yes, confusion is this article I'm reading right now. And hypoglycemia for people with diabetes. Keto stabilizes blood sugar levels so you don't get hypoglycemia. But she thinks you're going to get it if you have type 2 diabetes. People sometimes don't research diets before they begin. That's very prophetic, Angela Sowers, that you say that many words. People sometimes don't research diets before they begin. You mean like you and keto? Because it's very obvious you don't know what in the world you're talking about when it comes to a ketogenic diet. You just don't. They often think carbs are really bad for you. Okay, let's camp out on that one a second. They often think carbs are really bad for you. Is sugar good for you? No, I don't think anybody believes sugar is good for you. Are refined grains good for you? So the white flour and the whole wheat bread and crackers, is that good for you? Most people don't think that's very good for you. What about vegetables? Are they good for you? Well, it depends on what kind of vegetables you're talking about. Is it non-starchy and green leafy vegetables? Those are probably okay. Is it white potatoes, which isn't a vegetable, but people think it is? Is it fruits, which are very sugary? Some people can handle them, some people can't. So this whole notion of people often think carbs are really bad for you. For some people, a lot of carbs are bad for them. And a lot of it has to do with the damage that's been done to their metabolism, and especially for this lady who represents this Tennova healthcare. They're helping people with type 2 diabetes. If someone has type 2 diabetes, their carb tolerance level is automatically extremely low. And yet she's trying to scare them away. Oh, carbs aren't as bad as you think they are. It's simply not true that carbs are really bad for you. Carbs are used by the body to produce energy. And so eating carbs in moderation is what works, not cutting them out completely. All right, Miss Sowers, tell me what a moderate amount of carbohydrate looks like. What kind of carbs? How much is a moderate amount? My problem with people like her making these kind of proclamations about carbs is, how is that helping the person figure out what their right amount of carbs is? Because moderation is in the eye of the beholder. If the person thinks, okay, I'm going to have a sweet potato and I'm going to have some beans and I'm going to have this whole grain bread, is that a moderate amount of carbs? Would that be considered a moderate amount of carbohydrates so that I can get the energy that I'm supposed to have? Okay, What if that person then eats those exact same carbs, which would be considered a moderate amount, and their blood sugar goes up? What happens if their insulin level goes up? What happens when their inflammatory markers go up? What happens when their triglycerides go up? Is that moderate amount of carbs still good for them? I don't think anybody in their right mind in the healthcare industry would ever say those are good things. But here's what happens, guys. Oh yeah, eat the moderate amount of carbs, and here's some medication to help with the blood sugar. Here's some medication to help with whatever the issue is. And that's the problem. That's the brokenness of the system. The goal should be no drugs. The goal should be to eat in such a way that you don't got to take no medications. Right? And yet, oh, well, we know carbs aren't really that bad for you, so they're used to produce energy, and in moderation, that's what works, but not cutting them out. What if cutting them out gets a type 2 diabetic off of insulin and off of all of their diabetes medications? What if doing that, cutting carbs completely out of the diet, or severely out of the diet, what if that moves the needle so they don't need the medication anymore? Who in their right mind would think that is a bad thing? Nobody in the healthcare industry should think that. Sowers also warns that the long-term effects to the keto diet have not been well researched. Well, guess what? The long-term effects of a low-fat diet were never, ever researched before they entered into the dietary guidelines for Americans. A lot of people don't realize this. They're like, oh, we have dietary guidelines. They were fully vetted out. There has never been a randomized controlled clinical trial looking at the effects of a low-fat, high-carb, high healthy whole grain diet that showed positive results. Every single study that's ever looked at that diet has always shown incredibly bad results. And yet it became codified through the dietary guidelines for Americans. It became codified as the law of the land when it comes to good, healthy nutrition. And it was never vetted out. It was never studied. And so for this Sowers lady to say the long-term effects of the keto diet have not been researched. Oh yeah? None of the nutritional things that are out there have been fully well researched over the long term. Not a single one. So the diet could lead to more, talking about keto, could lead to more serious problems within the body as cutting carbs out affects your neurologic system as well as your gastrointestinal system. Show me the evidence! There is no evidence that shows there is any neurological effects of eating a ketogenic diet. There is no evidence showing that there are gastrointestinal effects of eating a ketogenic diet. In fact, all of the evidence that has come in on both of those issues shows just the opposite. You have incredible improvements in neurological systems. This is why epilepsy gets better on a ketogenic diet. This is why people who have traumatic brain injury get better on a ketogenic diet. This is why when you go keto and maybe you had, bouts of rage and you were upset and angry, you're calm now, you're more chill. This is why people who eat keto tend to have a better memory and a lot of the things that are associated with good, positive brain health. All of that happens because of keto, not in spite of it. And then gastrointestinal, just look up the work of anybody that's looking at gut health right now. They're all looking at the effects that grains and sugars are having on your gut. And that's exactly what keto cuts out, are grains and sugars, and put your body into a really good state. You want to heal your gut? Cut out the grains, cut out the sugars, and you're going to get 99% of the way there. But she's making the claim that it makes it worse. The keto diet also calls for an increased amount of fat intake. The diet suggests by cutting carbs and increasing fat that the body will begin to burn the fat. However, when the body begins to burn fat, it also begins to burn muscle tissue as well. No, it does not. No, it does not. Keto has this muscle sparing effect. And Angela Sowers, I encourage you to look up a study by this gentleman named Anssi Meninen. He did a whole study all about this in 2006 in the journal Nutrition and Metabolism, where he talked about this very issue. And muscle is preserved when you go keto. You can even build muscle on keto. Gee, who knew that? But even if you did not exercise and work out and have resistance training, you would not lose muscle by eating a ketogenic diet. That's another one of those myths that's thrown out there that this Sowers lady is trying to perpetuate. For those participating in the diet who have a risk of heart disease or stroke, the fat increase could put their lives at risk. That's just hyperbole. And we've talked about the cholesterol issue and heart disease and saturated fat and all that till I'm blue in the face. The point is, there's no evidence that eating saturated fat increases any risks of having cardiovascular issues pop up. So it's silly. And there she is repeating the same old talking points. I do not recommend the keto diet. Yeah, no kidding. It's very obvious, Miss Sowers, that you don't recommend it. There are much healthier ways to lose weight that won't cause other problems in the long run. Nobody's doing this for weight loss. I wish they would put the focus off of the weight loss. Yes, I know some people do go keto to try to lose weight. And that's very admirable if you do. Hopefully, if you watch enough Jimmy Rants, you know you should be doing it for all the other reasons in your health. And then weight loss would just be the side effect of that. But she wants to make it look like that's the only reason you go keto. Weight loss is the last reason I go keto. I want to feel good. I do. I want to have great brain health. I do. I want to have incredible energy that gets me through the day. I do. I want to eat in such a way that I don't think about food in between meals and can go very long periods of time between meals, and I do. That's why I keto, not just to lose weight. And I'm certainly not worried about any, quote, other problems going on in the long run. She stressed that individuals who participate in keto are more likely to gain the weight that was lost right back. Why would you gain weight if you stuck with it? Why would you gain weight on keto if you stick with the diet? Now, obviously, weight is impacted by so many other things besides just what you're eating in your diet. But let's stick with the diet. What she's referring to is if you go off of keto, you're going to gain back the weight. Well, yeah, no kidding. Of course you will. But this is why most of us who go keto have made it a permanent and healthy lifestyle change, not some temporary diet to lose weight. I'm so sick of these people. Oh, well, when you give up keto, you're just going to gain all the weight back. Duh. I don't care what diet you do. You're going to gain back the weight if you go off of it. She pointed out the fat takes 3 times the amount of time to burn off during regular exercise. Okay, so she's a calories in, calories out kind of person. It doesn't work that way, lady. The increased fat that the diet calls for can cause gastrointestinal disorders. Again, show me the evidence. There's no evidence of that. She stresses moderation is the key. I want to shoot the person who said moderation for the very first time, because that is a tired old argument. Oh, just eat balanced diet, eat in moderation, and all your health woes will go away. Can I just ask you guys, how many of you have tried moderation? And how many of you have been highly successful at moderation in your diet? Raise your hand. Anybody? Anybody? I don't know anybody that ate a moderate amount of whatever they wanted and got results. What I've seen is moderate results from moderation. So you eat moderation, eat whatever you want, and you're ignoring the hormonal impact of those foods. So I would love to have a moderate amount of Twizzlers. I would love to have a moderate amount of chocolate cake. I would love to have a moderate amount of a lot of foods. But I know even a smaller, moderate amount of those things, which again, by the way, moderation is arbitrary, is subjective. So somebody thinks they're doing well because I'm not eating too many. I'm only having 10 wheat thins. I'm only having, 5 Oreo cookies. I'm eating moderate. And then they're not seeing results in their blood sugar and their insulin, and their doctor's telling them, oh, I guess need to raise your insulin and your diabetes medications because your moderation diet's not quite getting you there. So here's a little boost. Whereas what I'm saying and what a lot of us are doing is cut out those things that are causing the problems, which means cutting down the carbohydrate, and all that medication goes bye-bye. Why is that ever a bad thing? Moderation is the key. There are now Tupperware containers that help you with portion sizes. Blech. The only portion size I need to worry about is when my brain tells me I've had enough. And I think the sooner we listen to our satiety signals and learn what it takes and what it feels like to be satiated. And oh yeah, by the way, when you cut down those carbs, your body isn't screaming at you to keep feeding it. When you eat more fat, you're very satisfied with that moderate amount of protein with that fat. It keeps you satisfied so you can go a long time without eating and feel very calm in the midst of it. And when it's time to eat, you're like, yeah, I could eat. Rather than, I need to eat. There's no more hangriness. Moderation would make me hangry. Makes me hangry just thinking about it. Portion control paired with exercise yields the healthiest results, help you lose weight and keep it off. And then she goes on about exercise, Correct nutrition is 75% of weight loss. It's so funny how they quantify. Oh, well, getting the right nutrition is 75%. I would dare say nutrition is 90% of your health journey. Get your diet right. Then add in these other elements, and they're all important, like exercise, like stress management, like good sleep, all of those things. But if you don't have a good diet, you can have all those other things all in order, but your diet's bad, you're not going to see results. Incorporating all the food groups in pre-portion sizes throughout the day is the best way to not only lose weight, but to also control your appetite. So eat from all the food groups and have just a little bit of all of them, and you'll be so happy the rest of your night. Restaurants make it easier to eat healthier with calorie counts on the menu. Yeah, I don't care about the calorie counts. Now people are able to make mindful choices when they go out to eat, yada, yada, yada. The key to successful weight loss is not eliminating carbs or other food groups from your diet. Try switching the way you look at carbs. This is funny here. Instead of seeing them as bad for your body, look at them as energy for your body. No! I look at carbohydrates as the enemy of my energy for my body. You know what I look at as energy for my body is dietary fat. And that dietary fat being converted into beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is the key ketone body in the blood, that gives me plenty of energy for my body. I do not see carbohydrates as energy. I see carbohydrates as the saboteur in my pursuit of nutritional ketosis. Because the more of those carbohydrates that I eat, the less likely my body is to get into that fat burning mode of using fat for fuel. That's it. Carbs fuel the brain. No, they don't. We've talked about that at great length. And when partaking in exercise, they're beneficial in giving your body what it needs to replenish. Carbs don't help you replenish anything unless you're trying to be a sugar burner. Here's the thing, Angela Sowers. If you're a sugar burner, maybe you're right. But most of us that are doing keto are fat and ketone burners. And what we see in carbs is the saboteur of our pursuit of being a fat and ketone burner. And the problem is when you eat a moderate amount of anything, your body can't make the distinction of whether you're trying to be a mostly fat burner or you're trying to be mostly a sugar burner. And it's incumbent upon people to choose one or the other. If you choose to be a carb burner, go for it. That's fine. Make carbs most of your diet and only get 2,000 calories worth of energy at your disposal. But a lot of us have chosen to do a ketogenic approach where we have mostly fat as our energy source, the preponderance of our calories, and we have almost an unlimited amount of energy at our disposal at any given time. A sugar burner can only have 2,000 calories worth of energy. A fat and ketone burner can have upwards of 100,000 calories worth of energy. So make your choice, but don't get stuck in the middle. The worst place to be is stuck between a sugar burner and a fat burner place, because it's that kind of purgatory where you start to feel like crap. That's where people have the keto flu when they first start on a keto diet, because their body is trying to figure out, okay, which preponderance of energy are you trying to give me, sugar or fat? And when it finally figures out that it's fat on a ketogenic diet, that's when everything calms down and you start to feel good and you get all the benefits of keto. But then they listen to people like you, Angela Sowers, and you say eat moderation, and people's bodies rebel against them. And then they wonder, what in the world's wrong with me? Why can't this work? Why isn't this working? You're not really giving them full information. So anyway, they talk about the diabetes management and meal planning classes that they do. They talk about counting carbs, which is hilarious in light of everything she just wrote, and helping people with diabetes learn to be healthy. So, dangers of the trending keto diet. These kind of articles, they trip me out, you guys, because I learned nothing in there other than the maleducation of so-called experts, people that should know better. And maybe this Angela Sowers lady does know better, but she's a willful, ignorant person trying to spread this information because she's so dug in on her own bias that she can't see that there is another hypothesis that runs counter to everything that she's teaching. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is, when you hear people like this Tennova Healthcare's Angela Sowers saying that keto will kill your brain, you got to get to the bottom of what she's saying. And you've got to correct information, which is what we do here on Jimmy Rants. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. I know that went real long, but I wanted to make sure we got that in here today to address this kind of stuff, because we're going to see a lot more of this stuff, you guys. I'm going to be screaming with you on this one, says Keto Glow. Yeah, there's some bad stuff out there. Yes, Davix, I'm very well aware that it reads backwards when you hold it up. It's called the iPhone front camera, and there's not much I can do about that, doing an iPhone. But thank you. I love all the critical people today. One person was critical of my light, and the other one, backwards words. You got more things in your life to worry about than those things, guys. Keto Glow, not a fad. It's been around forever. Indeed. Only the ones trying to sell you products are saying that, says Snoochie. Yep. I've never felt better. Well, good. Keep up the good work. Ashton says it's damaging to Big Pharma and Big Food. Yep. Next step for the vegan propaganda, revive Ansel Keys, says Alberto. Yeah. Susan says keto is damaging to the big pharmaceutical companies and the doctors and others who advocate for the SAD diet. Thriving on fat is damaging to your waistline if you don't want it to go down, or if you want to use fewer meds. All bad things. Insert sarcasm. Bonnie Lene, amen, Jimmy. 1,000,000 times I will say epilepsy children and adults on keto, which improve their seizures and their health, so they need to look further into the negative articles on keto. Always, always, always. Bree says, I'm wondering if any diet that puts you into ketosis into one category. When I did the ideal protein, it was low fat, low carb. It was specifically for weight loss. We were told not to exercise. So I guess there are some that do, although I don't think ideal protein would necessarily be considered a ketogenic diet with both low fat and low carb, because that's a whole different kind of ketosis than a low carb, moderate protein, high fat diet. Nicholas, I know I shouldn't be, but I'm still shocked how people like this author are either, number one, uneducated about keto, or number two, purposely misrepresenting basic science. especially when they represent a healthcare entity that is educating diabetes patients. It has to be number two. It has to be, because you can't be that stupid if you're educating the public. Correction, you shouldn't be that stupid if you're educating the public. I mean, I hope this lady picks up a copy of Keto Clarity, at least learns the basics of what a ketogenic diet is. We're all just ghosts here or zombies, says Kitty Caddick. Snoochie says carbohydrates are killing her brain. It doesn't look like she's thinking for herself, and that's sad. We can get glucose while not eating at all for like a week or more. What a newsflash. Yeah, Kitty Caddick, I've seen that. I've done 3 21-day fasts, and always deep into the fast, like day 12, 13, I would see a spike in the blood glucose that would get up in the 100 and teens, and I had not had any food at all, carbohydrate or otherwise, for 12 or 13 days at that point. And yet, that shows you there is glucose in the body. My stomach has never been better. Yep. And way more energy. Sharon says, Jimmy, eating carbs is actually killing my brain. I am really struggling getting back on keto. I'm getting depressed now. I feel so much better without them. Well, Sharon, if you need any help, reach out to me directly on Instagram. I'd be happy to help you get back on track. Quite Contrary says she's describing the keto flu. That's all. But she didn't say it in that many words, unfortunately. And so people, they see if she's referring to like those first few days once you go keto, okay, great. But she needs to say it in that many words. She makes it look like it's what happens all the time. Gastrointestinal upset, says Kitty Caddick. Tell it to my daughter who can't tolerate grains. Skin and digestive system will be on fire. Yep. Thriving on fat. It sounds like she's quoting about the keto flu. Yep. That's what somebody else said. She definitely never did her research. Nope. When I was a carb eater, I had GERD and an ulcer, but not anymore. Very interesting, says Ashton. Good stuff. Glucose is so good for you, but there's no need to eat it. Exactly. Moderation, word, allergy, is it a thing? Hashtag itchy. I don't want moderate amount of anything that would make me itchy. Heal your body with good food. Absolutely. Susan says, if eating keto is so unhealthy for brain health, how the heck did primitive man survive, and hence how are we here today? That's always my question back, because they went through long periods of time without eating at all. They went through long periods of time without having any kind of vegetation, because they didn't have industrialized food like we do today. They had to subsist on big animal kills and whatever vegetation that they could gather along the way in the meantime. So it doesn't pass the ancestral argument, that's for sure. If moderation worked, we wouldn't have a billion-dollar diet industry, says Pigpalooza, just another misguided idiot, scared of people fixing themselves in such a healthful and natural way. I don't understand how keto dieters are the enemy here. It seems to me we've grabbed back control of our health, and we're now showing, without the research necessarily, but showing that it is helping us. So why is our experience with it invalidated because some idiot like this lady, Angela Sowers, wants it to pretend like that what we're doing is harming us somehow? And if it's harming us, when is it supposed to manifest? If I'm supposed to have neurological effects that come from eating no carbs, which is what I'm doing right now and have been for 6 weeks now, how am I not having any carbs in my diet? And I haven't had high amount of carbs since 2004. Since before 2004, that was the last time I ate higher carb. I want to say the most carbs I've ever had in the past 15 years, the most carbs in a day I've had is maybe like 80. But that's the most. On average, I've been around 20, 30. And like I said, all of this year so far has been 0 doing this keto carnivore. Laomisha says, how can something that heals your body be so bad for you? I came off of metformin by doing keto. That's right. Keto works for my type 2 diabetes, says Robert. Thanks for being here. That's my cousin. And I'm off of my medications. My sugar is running good without any medications. Keto works. Do what's best for you. Never would believe that I would ever feel this great. Robbie, I'm so proud of you, man. And keep up the good work. Paco Rodriguez says 61 days keto carnivore and talk about the gut healing. Can I get crazy stronger and better in the gym? It's so ridiculous. People wouldn't believe you. They wouldn't believe you unless they sat there and watched you do this. When the body starts burning fats, it also starts burning big pharma earnings, says Alberto. That's for sure. I failed at moderation so bad. I think we all did at one point or another. Yeah, tried that diet with the containers and felt awful, says Susan. Angry, had to chain the fridge shut. Oh my. Wow. Let's see what else we have here. Rescue Gal. This kind of misinformation is what has my dad taking over 100 units of insulin a day. My mom complains that he has no willpower. I hate that for you, because there is a better way. David Zucker, in her next article, she's going to claim that keto makes your car alarm go off randomly. If you missed the beginning of this Jimmy Rants, my keys were in my pocket, and apparently I made my car alarm go off right as I was introducing the show. So, David, thank you for reminding people of that. And thank you for that, David. Appreciate that. Nikki says, talked to a friend yesterday about keto. She has horrible heartburn, maybe ulcers. Hope that she changes her way. Well, all we can do is be encouragers and correct misinformation when we see it, you guys. So when you see a headline like dangers of the trending keto diet, sounds so horrible, doesn't it? We need to gently tell people, look, there's a lot of bad information out there, and here's what's right about it. Hopefully I've given you some food for thought, so to speak, here on today's Jimmy Rants, and help you understand that even so-called health experts like this Tennova Healthcare's Angela Sowers, who thinks that keto is going to kill your brain, even they don't always understand all the intricacies of a well-formulated ketogenic diet. That's it, you guys, for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, we start off over on Instagram. So if you're not following me, go follow me on Instagram at Living Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. Once you're there, you can actually engage in the content live. Susan wants to know if I'm going to be posting from my conference this weekend. So yes, I will be at Adapt Atlanta this weekend. And I usually do some Jimmy Rants with special guests when I go to conferences. So stay tuned for that. So that's on Saturday, actually. So JimmyRants.com. So then you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. If you miss the Instagram or you don't do Instagram, we do all of these past episodes up on YouTube. So type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search. You will find the show. Finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which has the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form over on Apple Podcast as well as Stitcher. JimmyRants.com is the links to all of that. So guys, until next time, we'll see you then.